You know, when you finally hand over your badge, walk to your car in the parking lot. You're in the driver's seat. The engine is off. Just listen to the silence. No more alerts. No more meetings. On Monday, don't pretend to care about quarterly forecasts. About 48 hours. It feels like the best decision you've ever made. Week 3 begins on Tuesday at 10 a.m. You find yourself standing in the kitchen in the robe you wore yesterday. Rearrange spice racks alphabetically. Think about it. God, what did I do? Here is what no one told you about retirement. The wealth management industry sells you a finish line, a ribbon with an arm up and the sun behind it. But retirement is not the finish line. Retirement is a door. What was waiting on the other side of the door looked almost exactly like a brochure. I'm Marv Pendleton. I spent too much time studying retirement, fidelity reports, and social security forms, so you don't have to worry. Today I want to show you 5 things, and I really want someone to grab my shoulder and tell me before I jump. Some involve money. Some involve something harder than money. All of this is worth the next 10 minutes. Let's start with the one that hit me hardest. The Healthcare Act. According to the Medical Cost Calculation of Retirees in 2025, issued by Fidelity in July last year, today, 65-year-olds expect to spend an average of about $172,500 on healthcare after retirement. That figure does not include long-term care, leave the nursing home, premiums, co-payments, prescriptions only. The dermatologist visited him, eventually revealing his knee. 17万2500美元. This is the door I mentioned. You feel like you're stepping into the rest of your life. Instead, you walk into a hallway with a meter on the wall, ticking. And the meter doesn't care if you retire. As early as 2002, the same Fidelity was valued at $80,000. That means the number has more than doubled in 23 years. A 65-year-old retired couple spent $12,850 on healthcare in their first year alone. That is what most people miss. Fidelity also found that 1 in 5 Americans never even considered the cost of healthcare in retirement. A quarter of Gen X people fall into the same blind spot. 17% did nothing. Look, I get it. Making spreadsheets is not fun at all. Ready or not? The door opened. Medicare doesn't cover everything. Most dentists were excluded. Hearing aids don't cover the way you want. And long-term care. Depending on your state, a private room can reach 6 figures a year. There are no guarantees. That is Gate 1, medical corridor. As soon as you pass, the meter starts ticking. Let's talk about Social Security. Because here I see smart, cautious people making the most costly mistakes of their lives. You can apply for Social Security as early as 62. According to Bankrate's interpretation of SA data, 62 remains the most popular single claim age. About 23% of new applicants pulled the trigger as soon as they qualified. I understand the impulse. You gave your life. You want your money. You want to go through that door and grab what is yours. Here is the actual cost of the claim at age 62. If your retirement age is 67 for people born in 1960 or after, apply for a permanent 30% reduction in monthly checks at age 62. Forever. For the rest of your life, every check will be cashed for a smaller amount. Flip a coin. If you live to be 70, beyond retirement age, your benefits increase by about 8% a year. Run math on span. Benefits claimed on 70 lots were 77% higher per month than those claimed on 62 lots. The door analogy applies here. Enter gate 62 of Social Security, and the backstage space shrinks. The lower the ceiling, the less light. Wait a few years, and the space is expanding every year. Procrastination is not for everyone these days. In an article published in early 2024, the Wealth Management Association made a fairly strong case. If you have health problems or spouses without survivors' benefits, claiming in advance is certainly a smarter choice. This decision is yours, not mine. You have to keep your eyes open to succeed. It is not because a restaurant friend told you to eat before the government. Before we reached gate 3, let me jump in. If something in the video stops you, even for a second, for help, click the subscribe button. I'm not saying this to add fuel to the script. YouTube will only push that content to people who are really involved. The most popular retirement advice is either trying to sell you an annuity or scaring you into a gold era. If you want to talk bluntly, rather than sell, the subscription will let the algorithm send you back here. That is all. Let's move on. Gate 3. I was really surprised when I started digging deeper into the study. The European Bank for Reconstruction and Development (EBRD's) 2025 Retirement Confidence Survey found that workers expected the median retirement age to be 65. The median age of actual departure for retirees was 62. This is a 3-year gap. The consistency has been striking for decades. 40% of retirees reported leaving earlier than planned. In this group, 31% mentioned health problems or disabilities. Another 31% was attributed to changes in the company. That means laying off workers, reorganizing, or politely pushing the door open. That is what most people miss. In fact, you may not be able to choose a retirement date. You go to that door and think you can open it at 67. At 61, life opened its doors. If your entire financial plan assumes you have 5 years of salary and 401k contributions, that is too bad, because now you have a plan you've never written about. The solution is not bigotry, but it is just a slightly lax plan. Suppose the door might open earlier than you want, and save like this. Hope is a good thing, but hope is not a retirement strategy. That number is just 4 steps from a spreadsheet. That is why few people talk about it. The same survey by the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development found that 75% of workers plan to work and receive wages after retirement. But only 29% of retirees actually do. This is a huge expectation gap. Here is what spreadsheets can't measure: identity, purpose. The simple truth is that for 40 years, when someone asks you what you do for a living, you're ready. Then one day, you won't. The World Health Organization estimates that loneliness and social isolation affect about a quarter of older adults. A 2025 meta-analysis published in the journal Nature found that older people felt 27.6% of the world's loneliness. A National University of Michigan poll on healthy aging put the figure at 1/3. No matter how you cut it, this is not a rounding error. It is a public health problem hidden in personal problems. Here is the thing. After retirement, you don't just leave your job. You left behind a built-in social network. Colleagues who know how you drink coffee. Work friends who text you at 2 p.m. Reasons to wear real pants. It all disappeared on the first day, unless you build something to replace it. At 10 a.m., the stillness in the kitchen no longer felt like freedom, but began to feel like a waiting room. Retirees who deal with this group treat the social aspects of retirement like 401k. They donate regularly. They showed up. They joined the program. They volunteered. They took classes. None of this sounds respectable. But that is the difference between public retirement and quietly approaching retirement. Finally, we came to the fifth door. Money. 1. Everyone thinks they understand, but few really do. The money you save isn't really the point. How did you take it back? According to consumer finance surveys reported by the Federal Reserve through institutions such as NerdWallet, Americans aged 65 to 74 have a median retirement savings of about $200,000. The average clock in the North is $600,000. But the gap tells you everything you need to know. A small number of super savers drag down average gains. Your typical American retiree has about $200,000 in Social Security and a shotgun. That is where the door metaphor gets darker. Once you pass by, the order of market volatility can determine whether your money is 30-year or 15-year. Charles Schwab calls this sequence of returns risk. The idea is simple. If the market plunges in the first few years of your retirement, and you're paying for your livelihood, even if long-term average returns look perfect on paper, your savings can collapse. The two retirees have the same balance, the same withdrawal rate, and retire at an interval of 2 years. You can land in a completely different place. One walked comfortably for 30 years. Another eventually applied for a part-time job at 72. That is why the original 4% rule first existed. Put out about 4% of the portfolio in the first year, adjusted for inflation. Historically, you are likely to keep it going for 30 years. Now, some researchers believe that in today's environment, the safer number is close to 3.3% or 3.7%. Rational people disagree. Either way, that principle applies. That means restraint is more important than anything you have to do in the first 5 years. So, there are 5 doors. A healthcare meter that starts ticking from the moment you walk by. The longer you wait to enter, the bigger the Social Security room. The door may have opened 3 years earlier than you planned. Social doors that you don't realize are closing behind you. And the withdrawal door. Among them, market order is as important as the size of piles. This is my honest harvest. Retirement is not the finish line. This is the most important door you walk through. Few people give you a map of what the other person is waiting for. The 5 things I just listed aren't meant to scare you away from retirement. Their goal is to make sure that the version of you that goes through that door is the version you actually planned for the corridor behind it. Here are my comment questions. I really want to know. If you retire, is there one thing you want to know before you walk through that door? If you haven't retired, which of these 5 options hurt you the most? I read the comments and learned from them. To be honest, these answers help me figure out what to do next. If successful, the subscription button is right there. See you next time.